Hey, it's Typhlosions with a special video here today. I've started a draft league on my Discord server, the Lost Ones Sweeping, and here is a rundown of my roster that I have for this season of the Lost Ones Draft League. So my first pick was Mega Charizard Y. I won't be having everything up on screen, but I'll probably show a few of them for the stuff that I already have prepared for the first week's match. So I went with Mega Charizard Y for my first pick because it's my main Mega to go to, and I didn't feel like Mega Scizor would be as useful when anyone can just bring a bunch of fire. Well, anyone could have just brought fire type stuff to counter it. So I went with Megazard Y for my Mega just because overall it was the most useful with the Pokemon that I had planned to use. Also, it deals well with a lot of stuff that I figured would be common picks, such as Kartana and Celesteela, which ended up getting taken. So, oddly enough, Ferrothorn did not get taken by anyone. So for my second pick, I went with Zapdos. You can't bring it up on screen at the moment because I forgot to leave the stylus out. But for second pick, Zapdos, because Tapu Koko was already taken. I originally had planned for a more offensive draft, but when Tapu Koko was taken, I went with Zapdos for a more defensive core with that and Megazard Y instead. It also goes well with having Heat Wave along with the Sun. So for my third pick, also I should clarify that my draft league was using UCL style of drafting 3 Pokemon from each Smogon tier. So for my third pick, I went with Mimikyu, who's also one of my Z-Move users. I went with Mimikyu because it's a one-time guaranteed check against anything offensive that might try to set up or could start sweeping. And it was also my plan to go with a Sticky Web team, or have stuff that could benefit from Sticky Web at least. Plus, Mimikyu is also just one of my favorites. I can show that up on screen here. This is what I'll be using for my week 1 match. I don't need Shadow Claw for my week 1 match, so I replaced that with Shadow Sneak. So then my next pick was Reuniclus. I went with this because I just have a lot of good experience with Reuniclus. I really like using it with Life Orb Magic Guard. It comes in very handy when I've used it on my Maiden Abyss team, so I just wanted to have Reuniclus there for offensive power. My next pick was Normal Scizor. I went with that because since I wouldn't have Mega Scizor, Normal Scizor would still be good, especially if after everyone got through their OU picks, there was a bunch of stuff that Scizor could deal with well, such as Black Kyurem, Weavile, and it would help a bit with Coco Lucha, which someone had. So Banded Bullet Punch would be very good against those. Then my last UU pick was Nidoking. I just went with that because it has really good coverage, so I could use it in a lot of different situations. For RU picks, first one was my Milotic. That's because I have very good experience using my Milotic. It makes for a very good wall, and it helps form a good core with Zard and Zapdos for a more defensive core. Also because there was a few things that it would do really well against, mainly Keldeo, Landorus, and Heatran on opposing teams that were drafted. I can bring up one of my Milotics I'll be using. the one I've had since early Sun and Moon, Luca Megarine. For my first week match, though, I'll be using a variant of her that has competitive instead, because for my first week match, I'll be going up against someone that has 2 Intimidate users, being Incineroar and Landorus, so competitive will be really good against that. For my next pick, it was going to be Rebombi. I can show that one. So I went with this because of Sticky Web, really just purely because of Sticky Web. And that's it really, just Sticky Web would be great for my team for Mimikyu, Zard, Zapdos, Raichu. Well, I didn't get to Raichu, but, well, like half my picks would really benefit from having Sticky Web up. So next pick was Fortress. This was just to have a Rapid Spinner and Stealth Rock setter. Plus it makes for a good pivot. So that was going to be helpful with my offensively oriented team. And also because since I'm running Sticky Web, I wanted a Rapid Spinner instead of just a Defogger. So with it having Sturdy naturally, that made Fortress one of the better picks to go with. Also, since I needed my previous tier, my higher tier picks for better stuff, so I was waiting for lower tiers to get a Rapid Spinner. Then for NU and PU, which were put together, my picks were Alolan Raichu as my first one. I went for that to try and get it before, I specifically wanted to get it before someone who had Coco Lucha already got it, because for one thing, Raichu really, really checks Coco Lucha well, since I'm pretty sure it can outspeed Hawlucha under electric terrain, even after the Unburden boost. I'll have to check on that, but I'll probably be able to outspeed it. If not, there's not too much that Hawlucha can actually do, because both of its stab are resisted by Raichu. So, plus it also outspeeds Coco. It can't one-shot, but after getting up a nasty plot it can. So I picked Raichu. Originally I was going to have Raichu along with Coco as one of my offensive cores, but since Coco got picked and I had to go up against the Coco Lucha, I absolutely had to get Raichu to make sure that I wasn't just destroyed by that. So it provides very good check against Coco Lucha. Then my next pick was Typhlosion as one of my Z-move users. Obviously I went with Typhlosion because it's my mascot. And my team name is Torigoth Typhlosions. I'm one of the few people that actually picked their team name mascot for their draft. So these are the 2 different Typhlosions I've already used. I'll probably get one with Flashfire to use for one of the matches that I have coming up. They both have the same sets, but I'll probably take off Nature Power and use Solar Beam whenever I use this in the draft, since I don't have a Tapu. So I went with Z because Reg is already set up as a Z user, and that'll be good with Sticky Web up. And mainly just because it's my mascot, and it gives me another Fire Sweeper, so, well, more of a cleaner, but still just hits really hard. Then for my final pick, I went with Silvally Normal type. I went with Normal because overall, between all the opposing drafts, it was the only one that did not fail to counter something just because it was weak to it. So Normal was the best overall pick among the drafts, and it has great versatility with the coverage it gets. So, for example, it can Oko Lando with an Ice Beam. Kartana it can handle with a Flamethrower, though I have to worry about Sacred Sword. So I'm going to have to use that on a Switch if I decide to bring Savali against that. Plus, it also gives me the option to run an item instead of a memory, so that was another big reason I went for normal type. And it was my last Z move pick, so that I could use just a wide range of offensive Z moves on it, or Z parting shot. So it just gives me a lot of options depending on the opposing teams. So that was my roster for Season 1 of the Lost Ones Draft League. I'll have my first week match up in probably a few days after this video is going up. I don't think I'll be doing prep videos for every single match. I was just going over some of the stuff that I'm bringing this time because it was also the rundown of my roster. And once this is over, I'll be having another season that will accept more players. This season is just 8 players because it's the first time I'm hosting a draft league and I want to keep it small to make it easier. But I'll probably open it to 12 players next season. And it's on my Discord server that has a link in the description. It's a general competitive Pokemon server if you haven't gone to it yet. So there's a lot more than just the draft league there. So see you next time.